Hello, YouTubers. Day of November 2016. Time for another batch of current events. All these URLs are listed in the description of the video for your perusal. And a lot of them have links and they have videos and things that you can check out on your own. I'm just trying to bring you the news here. So we'll hop right on into it. The very first one is off of LibertyWritersNews.com, and it says, "You're hired. You will flip when you see who the job Trump just gave Mr. Brexit." Wow. It says, "Oh, trust me, you'll flip with joy at this. Donald Trump may just become America's next president, but that in no way means he's slowing down. In fact, Trump is about to speak to Mr. Brexit himself and offer him one of the biggest jobs America has to offer in the world. Nigel Farage will be Trump's ambassador to Europe." And there's video that you can check out in this. It says, "The news broke when a reporter asked Farage why he was already heading to the U.S. to meet Trump. Is he going to offer me a job? I'm hoping he might do. He will be in need of a proper Eurosceptic ambassador in Brussels for the European Union. I would rather like that job. Yes, yes, yes. I absolutely love this idea. Not only is Nigel Farage one of the best politicians and debaters in the world right now, he's already shown his ability to handle the EU with surgical precision. In fact, the only people who are not happy about this are the current leaders of the EU. First, they totally tried to screw over the Brexit with lies. Then they turned their attention to Trump and attacked him for trying to influence our elections. Gotta love some karma, don't you? Hey, I think Mr. Brexit's going to be the perfect choice for the EU ambassador. He's smart, witty, and has the same values that helped elect Donald Trump as president. If you're excited about this too, then do them both a big favor and share this out all over your Facebook with everyone you know. And there's more to it if you want to click on next page and go on and read more about it. But yeah, that's some good news right there. The next one we have is off of greatagain.gov, and it says, "Help wanted, 4,000 presidential appointees." So if you're looking for a job, this might be where you need to go. Check this out. More than 4,000 political appointees, many of whom hold important leadership and policy-making positions, will be heading out the door next year with the change in administrations. Finding qualified people to fill these jobs is an enormous undertaking, but it's critically important to making the federal government work effectively for the American public. Here are 4 basic types of appointments. Presidential appointees with Senate confirmation, called the PAS. There are 1,212 senior leaders, including the cabinet secretaries and their deputies, the heads of most independent agencies, and ambassadors who must be confirmed by the Senate. These positions first require a Senate hearing in addition to a background check and other vetting. Next one is presidential appointments without Senate confirmation, called the PA. There are 353 PA positions, which make up make up much of the White House staff, although they are also scattered throughout many of the smaller federal agencies. Career Senior Executive Service, or NA. Members of the Senior Executive Service, SES, work in key positions just below the top presidential appointees, bridging the gap between the political leaders and the civil service throughout the federal government. Most SES members are career officials, but up to 10% of the SES can be political appointees. And it says, for more information, see the Office of Personnel Management's website. So you can click that link and it'll take you there so you can check that out. And it says there are 680 non-career members. Yes. And the next one, Schedule C appointments, called the SC. There are 1,403 Scheduled C appointees who serve in a confidential or policy role. They range from schedulers and confidential assistants to policy experts. And it says, among other things, the chart below shows high numbers of PAS positions in the state and justice departments. That's due to hundreds of ambassadors, U.S. attorneys, and U.S. marshals, all of whom require Senate confirmation. You can also see that nearly a third of the total number of PA positions are concentrated in the executive office of the president. The scale and breadth of the task of making so many critical appointments is daunting and underscores the need for transition teams to get started early in order to fully staff the leadership of the next administration. So there's that article. Drain the swamp. That we have is off BizPack Review, and it says Americans cheer as Trump destroys the EPA without even trying. EPA staffers were in a panic mode at the news of Donald Trump's election victory. In the wake of the president-elect's promises of sweeping reforms at the bloated federal agencies, employees were in tears and were offered counseling, E&E News reported. And there's a bunch of tweets and stuff that you can read in this. It says, people are upset. Some people took the day off because they were depressed. John O'Grady, president of the American Federation of Government Employees Council 238, said. The union represents thousands of employees of the Environmental Protection Agency. People were crying. O'Grady, who works on the EPA's Region 5 office in Chicago, added they were recommending that people take sick leave and go home. Trump had vowed to repeal many of the agency's far-reaching rules enacted under President Obama, including the Clean Power Plan, which cuts power plants' greenhouse gas emissions. Trump's EPA transition team will be led by Myron Ebell of the Competitive Enterprise Institute, a top climate change skeptic. If you look at the 7 stages of grief, I'm still in denial. Look at the news. I will not read the news, one EPA employee said, according to E&E News. I think it's a sadness and a worry about just how far someone will go, especially when you never believe anything he says, an Energy Department staffer said. Many of us have worked in both the Bush and the Obama administration, and I don't think that we feel like it will be like just going back to Bush again. Sylvia Sarkos, a union chapter head representing North Carolina EPA workers, consoled employees, noting there is a lot of angst out there, nervousness. We all have to keep in mind that we are federal employees, she said. We swear allegiance to the Constitution and we are executive branch employees. Whoever wins the election is who gives us the direction and that we will go in, and that's our job. So there you have that. They need to be worried. They haven't been doing their job. Take a look at the water up in Michigan and tell me that EPA is doing their job. That's just one example. People ain't doing their job. Yeah, they need to be worried. They need to suck it up, Buttercup. Go find you a different job because I think you're on your way out. Off of girlsjustwanttohaveguns.com. Illegals are already leaving the country. Under Obama, 2 controversial amnesty programs were set up. DACA, called Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and DAPA, Action for Parents of Americans. To enter the 2 programs, the 1.4 million illegals had to hand over their identities, or home addresses, and admit to being in the United States illegally, therefore creating a list of illegal immigrants in the country. Now those same immigrants are fleeing for the border. I was surprised anyone would be stupid enough to sign up for the DACA and the DAPA, yet apparently hundreds of thousands of people did so anyway, said John Miano, the Center for Immigration Studies. He said in a blog post that the programs are dead under a Trump administration, and those who signed up created a list of prime candidates for deportation with names, addresses, and an admission of illegal alien status. Secrets has already received reports that illegals are already starting to leave the country, one source said, that some in Virginia left for the border on Wednesday, the day Donald Trump was declared the winner. And there's video if you want to check that out in this one, so you have that. And the next one we have is off of the commonsenseshow.com by Dave Hodges. It says, President Trump, this is my country, and I want immigration fixed before we become the next Europe. My father's side of the family came here from Germany via Great Britain. Each member of the family had to be screened medically, and their background had to be examined for criminal behavior. My family had to swear an allegiance to the country, defend against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. They also had to swear an allegiance to the United States Constitution. Further, they had to pass a test on English, American history, and the U.S. Constitution before they could be granted citizenship. And then they had to go through a 7-year naturalization process. Why are today's immigrants superior to my family and have more rights than my family did when they came to America? Today, we simply open our borders to anyone and everyone without regard to their intent and any potential criminal history. The problem with our immigration is not whether it's from Middle Eastern countries, Mexico, Panama, China, Russia, and Syria. The problem with our immigration system is that it admits anyone with absolutely no consideration given to the fact that they have not been screened for suitability to come into the United States. Yes, suitability to enter the U.S. Trump's immigration policies. Should we build a wall and only admit people to come into America who follow a standardized set of protocols and laws? With regard to immigration, I mean dangerous immigration, the proverbial horse is already out of the barn. Donald Trump proposed a wall. Through no fault of Trump's, is a day late and a dollar short. Last July 4th, FBI Director James Comey admitted we have ISIS terrorist cells in all 50 states. As Trump prepares to take office, God willing, the immigration crisis is totally out of control, and it threatens to unhinge our country as it is in Europe, where native citizens in all the countries of Britain, Sweden, and Germany have become an opposed minority in the face of violent-laden jihadist immigration onslaught. World leaders such as Germany's Merkel are clearly globalist as opposed to nationalist. They seek to dilute their own country's culture, acquiesce to foreigners, and let their foreign beliefs sublet the majority of culture and unhinge centuries of national traditions. I am proud to say that I will not compromise, that I am avowed nationalist. American first, last, and always. All other countries be damned. We owe nobody our culture, our religious beliefs, and our social traditions. Lending a helping hand does not mean we amputate our limbs to keep immigrants happy. Whose country is it? In America, we do honor and support the beliefs and customs of those who are not representative of the majority culture. That does not mean that the majority culture should be expected to acquiesce to the minority culture. Tolerance and respect does not equate to catapultion of a nation's core beliefs. The United States of America belongs to me. It belongs to all who were born here. It belongs to all people who have come to our shores and have gone through our legal immigration process. The United States of America does not belong to the Sharia law espousing refugees who openly advocate for supplanting the Constitution with their own religious beliefs. All immigrant situations are clearly not created equally. With regard to Mexico, 1 in 10 people born in Mexico now lives in America. I know undocumented illegal aliens who fear being deported by Trump. Many of these people are here because our corporations, in the never-ending search for cheap labor workers who could not collectively bargain for higher wages and benefits, recruited them through pamphlets and word of mouth. The last 3 administrations were complicit in their mass law-breaking that has taken place with regard to the willful facilitation of illegal immigration in partnership with the corporations. When the sexual predator Bill Clinton took office in 1992, there were an estimated 11 million undocumented residents in the United States. Today, the propaganda artists in mainstream media world would have you believe that these numbers did not increase. Bravo, Sierra. We have over 30 million illegal aliens inside the United States. America cannot and will not deport 30 million illegal aliens without regard to status. In some of these families, there are also legal American citizens. Is the country willing to repeat the Holocaust type of event that we call the Trail of Tears in reference to Andrew Jackson's Indian Removal Act that criminalized, or try that again, that culminated in thousands of deaths of innocent Native Americans? Are we willing to break up families and potentially deport legal American citizens in some cases However, the Trump administration has a duty to preserve the majority culture, not for the reasons of domination, but for survival. Trump needs to make certain that the immigration does not pose a safety and national security issue for our country. Again, I want to stress America is our country. This is not bigotry, as the Hillarys would have you believe. America is an owned nation, and I'm one of the owners. This is not the Syrians' country. This is not the Mexicans' country. This is not the nation of India's country. This is my country, and I expect Trump to enforce our laws as they are written. Trump's options. There are several options available to President-elect Trump that fall between abject Clinton-style amnesty and the extreme act of mass deportation. The point of referencing illegal immigration from the Central South America is to point out that no two immigration patterns are the same. The Muslim invasion of Europe, with all the documented violence and social upheaval, must never be allowed to repeat in America as it has in Europe. And unlike our south of the border immigration situation, we still have time to stem this dangerous tide of admitting anyone without regard to criminal background. Syrian refugees will not raise their right hand and swear allegiance to the United States Constitution, then they need to leave. Any refugee coming into the country and any immigrant crossing into the country must be screened for terrorist associations and criminal backgrounds. Any serious breach in those two areas are immediate grounds for deportation. People will ask me what I mean by criminal background. I'm not talking about jaywalking or speeding. I'm talking about things like rape, murder, armed robbery. If someone is proven criminal or terrorist, they need to be immediately deported. Swearing allegiance to the United States also means dropping this nonsense that Sharia law will one day reign supreme over the Constitution. If that is truly the belief of an individual, then they need to go to a country who will tolerate this political, social, cultural type of invasion. This is non-negotiable. Nobody's religious beliefs can be used as an excuse to turn this nation upside down as it's done in Europe. President-elect Trump, we the American people expect you to act with all due speed in this manner. FBI Director James Comey stated that we can consider 10% of all Muslims sufficiently radicalized to the point where they would like to see harm come to the United States. We need a system to detect the 10% and get rid of them. There's a video here that is representative of the issues, and it contains reference to Trey Gowdy, who frames the problem. If you'd like to pull that up and take a look at that at your leisure. The next article I have for you is off of regated.com, and it says, it's a TV show, The View, with the liberal women. It says, Trump should have Sanders and Clinton on his cabinet. What? The diverse group of so-called smart women on The View love talking about politics. They brought up the fact that President Obama brought on Hillary Clinton as the Secretary of State. There's a problem here, though, ladies. They were in the same party. They also said that Abraham Lincoln brought Democrats into his cabinet. Wrong. President Lincoln never put any Democrats into his cabinet. They were nearly all of the Republican rivals for the Republican nomination. Who the hell hired these dopes? The View discusses Donald Trump's cabinet in a video here, if you would like to take a look at that. Geez. Stupidity at its finest. It says, when you put a group of undereducated people behind a table and call it a show, it comes with issues. The View is the perfect example of the media. They are out of touch and unburstable bubble. The downright stupid statements and misinformation are what made Donald Trump our next president. If you look at the electoral map, it is clear the American population didn't buy into it. The only people that did were those within the bubbles of California and New York City. So it just so happens to be that the media conglomerates are operated out of these two states. Shocker. The next article I have for you is off of Constitution.com, and it says illegal aliens win huge election in Arizona. If you were responsible for the law enforcement and protecting 4 million people, and all the evidence pointed to one certain group of people being responsible for committing over 70% of the crime in your area, wouldn't you focus your attention on that group of people? How responsible would you be if you ignored that group of people? Maricopa County in Arizona is home to just over 4 million people as of 2013. There are at least 8 cities in the country, or in the county, with a population of over 100,000 people, including the state capital of Phoenix, with a population of around 1.5 million. Over the past 30 years, over 70% of major crime in Maricopa County has been linked directly or indirectly to illegal aliens and illegal drug and human trafficking. All this illegal activity is coming from across the U.S.-Mexican border. Former Arizona Governor Jan Brewer repeatedly asked Barack Obama to visit Arizona and the border and see for himself the problem of illegal aliens and drugs, but Obama refused every invitation. Instead of taking action to protect the citizens of Arizona and the United States, Obama and his minions refused to enforce federal immigration laws. Not only did they refuse to enforce federal immigration laws, but they targeted and acted and attacked law enforcement that did try to enforce the laws. And this is going to try to play a video here, so I'm trying to wait it out so I can get it stopped when it pops up here. It's waiting for me to start reading. We're at a standoff. And there it goes. Okay. I got her killed. All right. Per the request of over 200 country citizens, Maricopa Sheriff Joe, and I always butcher his name, Arpio, I guess I'm pronouncing it right, I don't know, launched an investigation into Barack Obama's eligibility to occupy the White House. The Maricopa County Cold Case Posse found overwhelming evidence that proved that official Obama birth certificate presented by the White House was a forgery, as was Obama's selective service card. They also found evidence that questioned Obama's Social Security number, which, according to the number, was issued in Connecticut, where Obama never lived. Once news of Arapio's findings about the forged birth certificate were made public, Obama used the Department of Justice to attack Arapio with the goal of discrediting him and removing him from office. Under the direction of Obama's puppet, then U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder, charges were filed against Arapio and the entire Maricopa County Sheriff's Department. The Justice Department selected a handcrafted liberal judge to hear the case against Arapio and the MCSD, and true to his master's wishes, the judge ruled in Obama's favor. Sheriff Arapio and the MCSD were stripped of all federal immigration law enforcement credentials and then placed in a liberal to serve as a monitor of everything Arapio and the MCSD did. Basically, Obama and the DOJ henchmen made it impossible for Sheriff Joe and the Maricopa County Sheriff's Department to do their job to stop crime and protect the 4 million citizens of the county. Possible for law enforcement to focus their efforts on a group of people, illegal Hispanics, responsible for over 70% of the crimes in the county. Then Obama convinced one of his main financial supporters, billionaire George Soros, to spend $2 million on an effort to stop Sheriff Joe from being reelected. The majority of liberal money and efforts were directed at large Hispanic population of Maricopa County and getting them to support a liberal Democrat, Paul Penzone, in his effort to win the sheriff's position. After Tuesday's ballots were counted, Soros' millions of dollars were enough to help Penzone defeat Sheriff Joe. With the help of the large, riled-up Hispanic community, Penzone won 54.9% to Sheriff Joe's 45.1%. Most likely, Penzone, a former Phoenix police sergeant, will become a puppet for liberal control. I spent over half my life in Maricopa County and have seen firsthand the effects of illegal aliens and drug trafficking on the area. I still have family and friends living in Maricopa County and continue to receive reports on how devastating illegal aliens and the drug trafficking has been on entire neighborhoods. My old neighborhood, where my wife and I would take evening walks and our girls would play outside, has now been taken over by tons of illegals. The entire neighborhood looks like a Mexican ghetto, and the crime rate in the area has skyrocketed. With the defeat of Joe, many fear that the situation with illegal aliens and drug trafficking will only get worse and continue to destroy more family-friendly neighborhoods and countless lives. Thanks to Obama, Soros, and other liberals, illegal aliens and drug traffickers scored a huge victory in Tuesday's election. Will continue to take over Maricopa County. So there's that article for you. The next one that we have is off of Conservative Firing Line. And this one says, Obama quietly agrees to an additional 1,300 Muslim refugees. Who in the world could have ever fathomed that Barack Obama could find even more Muslims to import to the United States from of all places, the South Pacific island nation of Papua New Guinea? Well, he did. It's a good thing Obama gutted NASA. If there should happen to be any extraterrestrial adherents to the cult of Muhammad, Barry the curtain hanger could find them. And of course, bring them here. Probably settle them in Minneapolis, St. Paul area, but they deserve it. Anyhow, as reported by the Associated Press, this says the United States has agreed to resettle an unspecified number of refugees languishing in Pacific Island camps in a deal that is expected to inspire more asylum seekers to attempt to reach Australia by boat, officials said on Sunday. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull would not say whether he had discussed the deal with President-elect Donald Trump during their telephone conversation on Thursday. The Obama administration had agreed to resettle refugees of almost 1,300 asylum seekers held at Australia's expense on the island nations of Nauru and Papua New Guinea. We deal with one administration at a time, and there is only one president of the United States at a time, Turnbull told reporters, adding that the deal was reached some time ago. Trump has called for a moratorium or tight restrictions on Muslim immigration. Most of the asylum seekers are Muslim from the Middle East, Africa, and Asia. Australia refuses to resettle any refugees who have arrived by boat since the date the tough policy was announced on July the 19th of 2013. Australia pays Nauru and Papua New Guinea to house boat arrivals and has been searching for countries that will resettle them. Few refugees have accepted offers to resettle in Papua New Guinea and Cambodia because most hope that Australia will eventually take them in. Turnbull said the United States had only agreed to resettle refugees already on Nauru and Papua New Guinea. Refugees who arrive in the future would not be sent to the United States. We anticipate that people's smugglers will seek to use the agreement as marketing opportunity to tempt vulnerable people into these perilous sea journeys, Turnbull said. We have put in place the largest and most capable maritime surveillance and response fleet Australia has ever deployed, he added. Australian Borders Force Commissioner Roman, here's another name, good Lord Almighty, Qualydilig, I don't know. Who knows? Commissioner Roman, we'll just call him that, said ships had been positioned to turn boats back to Indonesia if asylum seekers attempt to reach Australia in the hope of being sent to the U.S. No people smuggling operations has successfully delivered asylum seekers to Australia by boat since July of 2014, but 29 boats have been turned back to Indonesia by the Australian Navy. So there you have that article. The next one we have is off of, let's see, LibertyWritersNews.com. Sick. Obama has one more trick up his sleeve that America's gonna hate. Sure, the election may be over, but Donald Trump does not become America's 45th president until January 20th. That means Obama has a few more months to damage our country, and he has something big in the works. One of the biggest issues of the campaign was Hillary Clinton's laundry list of crimes. Most people would have been in jail already, but not her. Well, thanks to Obama, come immune. Obama is considering pardoning Hillary Clinton before Trump can become president. And there's some videos in this if you want to take a look at those. And the article goes on and says, when Press Secretary Josh Earnest was asked if Obama would consider pardoning Hillary before Trump can take office, he candidly said that the White House doesn't announce pardons ahead of time. Oh, come the hell on. Look, Obama has no business in this fight. The reason is because Donald Trump would need to try Hillary Clinton in court, meaning she would receive a classic American trial. The jury would determine her crimes and sentence her for accordingly. That's how America works. And if you want to read more on this, you can click the article and go to the next pages on all this thing. I mean, basically, if he pardons her, that's an admission of guilt. Because you wouldn't need to pardon somebody if they're not guilty, right? But if she wants to take her chances with court, she may end up in jail. I'd say there's a very high percentage that she'll end up in jail. So I think it's probably going to depend on which way she wants to go with this. The next one we have is off of BizPack Review. It says, straight talking grandmother slams whiny bitch babies protesting Trump's election, offers tough love. A grandmother from the suburbs of St. Louis delivered the verbal whopping on the anti-Donald Trump protesters that their parents probably should have long ago. Peggy Hubbard, who previously made news when she castigated Black Lives Matter protesters, went off on the whiny bitch babies rioting over the election of Trump. She recalled her own children witnessing the horror of 9/11 terrorist attacks and going to school the next day with no therapy dogs or cocoa. Because your little candidate didn't win the race, you're going to lose your ever-loving mind and act like a bunch of pussies, she asked pointedly. People cannot get back and forth to work because your clown asses decide to act like a fool and act like a bunch of bitch babies. You know what I would do, she asked, if you're on Social Security, on SSI, SSD, Medicare, Medicaid, Section 8, EBT card, food stamps, anything the federal government is paying for, if you are arrested, I'd cut you off. And she had a special message for the celebrities who have joined the chorus of discontented and threatened to leave the country. Bye, go. Amtrak does run to Canada, she said. Some of you haven't made movies in years. Whoopi Goldberg hasn't made a movie worth talking about since The Color Purple. And there's video in this if you want to see the videos, and there's some strong language, so forewarned. The next one is off of USHerald.com, and it says, thugs attempt to rape a young girl, but end up getting shot by the grandfather with a shotgun. And it says, once again, good guy with a gun. Get the ads shut down. Here we go. Once again, good guy with a gun stops 3 thugs with guns, and luckily the good guy was able to protect his family against a home invasion and protect his 19-year-old granddaughter from being raped. The incident began when 67-year-old Kenneth Bird answered the door around 10 p.m., and within seconds, 3 armed thugs forced their way into his home. However, Mr. Bird was also armed and ready to protect his family. The family told authorities that one of the suspects came to their door claiming to have car problems and claiming to need water. The 2 other men then forced their way into the house wearing ski masks and gloves and demanded money. Robinson County Sheriff Kenneth Seeley told reporters that when one of the thugs attempted to rape the girl, that's when the shooting began. All 3 thugs fled in Bird's gold Cadillac. All 3 suspects have been identified as Jamie Lee Faison, age 20, Brandon Carver Stevens, age 28, and Jamar Hawkins, age 17. Pearson was later found dead from a gunshot wound. Bird was also seriously injured in the shootout. He is now in recovery. Obviously, the outcome, as bad as it was, could have been a lot worse if the granddad wasn't armed to protect his family. Time and time again, we see good law-abiding individuals becoming victims at the hands of low-life thugs. The best equalizer against rape is a well-armed and experienced woman in the use of firearms. There you have it. The next article is your feel good. This will be a screen share. It's a short one. I think you'll enjoy it. Pulled up here and play that for you.
It's this photo of this inseparable, making the heart beat stronger. A dog at his companion's side during some of his scariest moments in the hospital. Since dogs changed the life of this 9-year-old little boy with autism. James Isaac from New Zealand needed an MRI so doctors can find the cause of unexplained seizures. The assistant's dog, named Mahi, kept James calm the whole time. His mother, Michelle. James cannot speak and doesn't like being touched. Michelle credits the assistant's dog's New Zealand program for helping turn their family's lives around. She says it was challenging before the 3-year-old Labrador entered their lives. James would run away or break down in unfamiliar situations. But once the pair met, everything changed for the James is alone and has a seizure. Mahi barks to alarm someone. A furry, 4-legged companion comforting this little boy during tough times. That's the true meaning of a dog being man's best friend. For InsideEdition.com, I'm Lee Sheps.
Have that. I thought you'd enjoy that one. You know, even a dog knows how to be friends with people. A lot more than people do. It's amazing how many people don't take any consideration into their friendships and how to be friends with somebody. They're willing to throw a friendship away over their ego. And people need to stop and think about something as simple as how a dog at least even knows how to be friends with somebody. So if you have friendships, I encourage you to cultivate them today. Be friends with people. Give them a smile. And if somebody is a little testy or maybe does something that you consider to be inconsiderate, maybe you need to think that they've got things going on in their own life too that might explain their behavior a little bit. Maybe you need to show a little bit more tolerance. I encourage everybody, if it's pretty where you are today, to go out, stick your feet in the grass, balance yourself, suck up some earth energy, take a deep breath of fresh air. Be glad you woke up above ground. There's people that didn't. We'll see you later. Bye.